Hello traders, good weekend to all. How are you today? I hope you are wonderful and you have a great weekend. And this is the weekly forecast for the week 22 of May 2016. And let's get ready for this trading week. Last week was very nice. We had very nice opportunities, and most of the trades followed our setups the way we wanted. So I hope you had the chance from last weekly forecast to enjoy these moves. And let's see what does the market provide for us this week as well. So let's start with the pair I love very much, Euro Pound, which is moving so far exactly like we wanted. Okay, and let's see, where is my pen? Here we go. Now we did follow this setup of the head and shoulders, broke the neckline, and we might get the retest of this area. Now we have a trend line right here, so the further we move, and that will be the great setup to go and rejoin the cells. Now I want to remind you, since this was a kind of a triple cycle here, there is a big chance we are moving after 50%. 38.2 was reached and therefore the bounce we have. But there is a big chance we are after 50, which is around 0.75. 50, and that would be very good zone because we had band to band on weekly with duplication, so drop down back to opposite band is exactly by the rule, so it follows pretty much exact area, and that's why I yet remain short. So for those of you who are short, perfect, stay in, no need to change. Those of you who are in, here is a potential setup to follow. There is a trend line. Okay, we can get closer to 0.78. Now that could be 0.7760, that could be 0.7820. This is the zone of resistances we have. Now this is the 4-hour chart. We can trade the 4-hour chart, or we can drop down to 1-hour chart as well. And what we will want to see is scenario like this. Okay, we kind of have triple cycle here, so we might go this way and something like that again. Now once we do have this kind of movement, we are very likely to have here something like that, false break, and then we can go and sell trendline breakout or break below the last low, pull back, and to join the cells. Okay, the idea here would be let the correction create two waves up. Currently we have one wave up by triple cycle, 1, 2, 3. Okay, we want one more push up, and then we can look for cells. Now what is the best way to look for cells when the correction completed? First of all, false break. Okay, false break above the last stop to be created, like in this place, would give us actually what? The understanding that the bulls are losing power, and actually the bears take control once again. Why? Because the bulls are getting weak. They try to break above the last high, but they cannot make it, and the bears take control and complete the false break. And that's what could bring us, bring back the bears and give us best risk reward and such thing. And that's all about it. Remember, you can try it 4 times in a row, as long as your risk reward is good. Let's say 1 to 4, 1 to 5 in total. You have nothing to lose. You can be wrong 3 times, 1 time to be right and cash out profits. That's the whole story of such setups. And that's why we should be very accurate by our choices, right? So that's the Euro Pound. Now, does it really worth to try the longs? Well, it brings me now for intraday trading. Okay, does it really worth? No, because the pressure is still bearish. But if you want to try the short-term trades, you can. But what all you have to do is to wait for 2 waves down now, and then even on 15-minute charts, look for same principle: false break, break above the last high, or break above a trend line, pull back, and then try this long. That will be your risk. That will be your reward. 1 to 3, 1 to 4, 1 to 5, all depends on the price action movement. And that's if you can get such risk reward, then you can try. Okay, but best is to look to sell the rallies. Should be safer thing to do, as long as the weekly chart does not have any bullish divergence, daily chart does not have any bullish divergence, so sell rallies, safer choice. Euro dollar, well, euro dollar broke below 112. That means that we are probably, and again there is no guarantee for that, because we have two scenarios here, probably after sell rallies, as we will very likely continue to stay in this weekly range. We do have kind of convergence here, but we know with divergences, convergences are not really relevant inside the trend line, but according to the cycles, short-term cycle, that's what it is about. Now, watching on the this daily cycle, okay, or the 4 hour, we have 1, 2, 3. So we could get pulled back and another sell. So for me, this is scenario number 1. To get this triple cycle, get some rally back to here, 113 plus, that could be anywhere in between 113 to 114. And from there, look for setups, exactly like with the Euro pound suggested. Okay, something like that. False break, break of trend line, pull back and sell versus the stop, aiming for 2 waves down. Okay, that could be really good opportunity. If it just keep going lower, then we will have to be with bigger patience, right? Okay, that's about the euro dollar, sell rallies as well. Now the second scenario here, which could start, since we have one false break on the top, one false break on the bottom, that we are going to move in kind of a range right now. So that's also a scenario now. Okay, it's too early to judge yes or no, but it's something we will have to keep in mind, as it's very, very doable. Alright, moving forward, pound dollar, the star. I still think this pair could well, sorry, not easily, but still could do it up to 150 to make triple cycle, but there is a very, very, very big probability we are after something like that right now. Why? Very important to explain why. Because we had one false break to the upside, one false break to the downside. Again, potential scenario for a range. Exactly like we had before with the euro on the day, right? So we could go and play inside this area, so that could be also some kind of triangle or a flat range before we go further. Now, note, the last poll in Britain showed that majority, that means not majority maybe, but most of people vote or expected to vote for staying in the Eurozone. That brings a lot of power, force to the pound again. Last couple of days, or actually the entire week, while all the other pairs were rocking, pound was rocking downside, of course. Aussie dollar, euro dollar, dollar CAD to the upside. Dollar was strong against all, but pound was stronger, and it just relaxed on Friday. And this is one scenario to follow. So on the short term, this is definitely doable scenario, so we can expect to move like this before the rally. Now I don't think anything too crazy is going to happen before June, before the Brexit, and before well, the vote, sorry, for the referendum, right? And the rates in USA, and that's all about to happen in June. And until then, I do believe we are going for kind of a range, which makes sense, right? Some kind of a range, reasonable price, 145 average, let's say, slightly below, slightly above, to play up, down there inside. And by then, provide us some kind of triangle or whatever it is. Okay, and then boom, up or down according to the poll. Makes sense. And that's why I believe as long as we are below 148 and as long as we are above 143, okay, I think we should trade in between. So every time we get closer to 143, look for potential buys. Every time we get closer to 147 or 48, look for sells. That's pretty much the idea. And of course, on short term, there is really no reason to go for long-term trades on pound currently. Now, the last weakness of the pound should affect also pairs like pound New Zealandian, which completed the two waves to the upside. Now I do expect it to do something like that, and then one more push to the upside, and that brings me for sells on the pound versus the New Zealandian. Now if you take a look on the 4-hour chart here, actually this is not 4-hour chart setup, but this is 1-hour chart setup like this. What we have had is the same false break and then trendline breakout I've been talking about. This is a false break. Try to break up, couldn't break below the trend line. Now it creates some kind of cycling here. 1, 2, 3, pull back, and something like that could happen. Pull back and sell. In other words, while this top holds, every pullback we will have, we should look for same scenario: false break, trendline breakout, pull back and sell. That's the idea. Very likely we are going to 211 zone, and very likely we will even see 209. I would be rough call here, 209, 210. So this is really good range of areas for potential sell, as long as we remain below this bottom, this top, pardon. Okay? Only if this top will be broken, it's time to switch the idea. But that's why we don't rush to jump in. We will be after retraces, false break and pullbacks, and then sell. Why? Because we will get amazing risk reward on such trade, and that's what it is all about. Okay, so don't rush to jump in. Pound Aussie, same story. Longs, short, while the last top holds. We complete the triple cycle. 1, 2, 3. We have bearish divergence. We close the gap. How good it is. Now we are after 50 of this area. So 195 approximately. And that brings me here to the 1-hour chart. 1-hour chart, we broke below the last low right here. This is very important zone. We are breaking below this trend line. We are after kind of double cycle here, so we could expect easily now 2 waves pullback, and from this area to 150 and higher up to 250, look for sells, buy false breaks. Same idea, guys. Boom, 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 boom. Something like that. That's what it is about, as long as this top holds. Don't rush to sell. I know how seducing it could be. Oh wow, that looks good, I'm going to jump in, boom, and losing money on retraces. Guys, patience is the key. It's better even to miss the opportunity or part of opportunity, several points, but not forcing to jump in before the time. Very popular mistake. Avoid it. Do all you can to avoid it. Alright, let's move on. Dollar yen, the next opportunity, and dollar yen, here we are. As I said, 2 scenarios. 1, we could move inside of a range right now. Very doable, very possible. This is a trend line. As long as it holds, we are holding as well. This is the trend line on the short term, and it's holding so far. We had a triple cycle to the upside. We might get that correction. For that to happen, we had a false break right now. We try to break above the last high. We close below the last high again. Following divergence, we are breaking below this trend line. Break below this bottom would be great call for change of momentum. Pullbacks to approximately the middle or third of this movement, and we can look for sales back to 50 of this movement. So that should be approximately back to 108 or so. Okay, great opportunity, as long as the last high holds, of course. Very, very important, and as long as the trend line holds. Now, if it just continues higher, let it go. Don't fall in this trap, because very likely we are going to break above this area and then retrace inside to complete special cycle. Okay, so don't rush to press the button, wait for the false break and change of the momentum, and then you can go and play around. Very doable. Euro yen, well, that's tricky, but this is still a potential scenarios like we talked about the last week. Something like that is definitely doable. Okay, something like that is doable as well. Okay, but basically I will want to sell closer to the trend line. All right, or for after two waves, I will look to sell for sure. Okay, the only way to change that around would be for me if the euro yen goes, well, this is the last range, below this bottom, then pulling back to this trend line, and from here to look for sells. That would be the only way I would be agree to switch the direction for a sell. Pound yen, same story, did a very good double cycle, now changing the momentum on the short term. Long term, still don't rush. There is a big chance we are going to play in this range, which makes a lot of sense, because remember our analysis about the pound dollar, guys? Exactly the same. Triangle, range. Why? Waiting for this referendum vote on June. And all this Brexit story and the US rates, blah, 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 all that. So as long as we are in this range, we can definitely look for reversals, right? So on the short term, we got this reversal, we got a correction, we had two waves down, we need three in order to say momentum changed. So here is what we want to see. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then we can look again for sells. Okay? As long as the last stop holds. What would be our target? As I said, this trend line, this triangle. That's what we will be after potentially, as long as the top holds, of course. Settle. Moving forward, dollar Canadian. Well, I am still bullish. Nothing changed, and I don't think nothing should be changed. Okay, so every time we will get, that's our last opportunity. This is a trend line we have. We should get closer to that. It's a good time for that. So I do believe we will, from here or slightly higher after one more push towards 132, we will get two waves pull back to 130 zone, maybe slightly lower, and we will be maybe a trend line, maybe even slightly lower, and we will be after longs. My view didn't change. I believe we are going for two waves back to 135, 136. We need two waves down to jump in. So don't rush. Look for the pullback before jumping in and sell. These two waves would be option number one. They could go extended like this, and then something bigger, but that would be the direction for a buy. Okay, so that's pretty much all. Now we had a false break here, so to try short on the short term, we have to go below this bottom first of all, pull back, and here look for false breaks and the drop down back to 130 or lower versus the last stops, of course. Okay, another good opportunity. Euro CAD for long run, my view didn't change. I still think this pair is going up. Currently we have two scenarios for this pair. Scenario number one, boom, boom, while this bottom holds and rally. I mean something like a range here and rally. Scenario number two, also doable if that's what the dollar CAD will want to do. Go back to here, falls break below 145.50 zone, approximately even lower. Okay, break down, retrace inside, and a rally. Two scenarios to follow. Should be good opportunity. Definitely keep a close eye. Alright, next one on the list is going to be gold and silver. I believe we are coming closer to well, the first bottom. We were after two waves down. We had two waves down. Last week we covered that. Remember the double cycle? Last week we covered that pretty clearly. Double, so we could do this double as well. And buys. Daily chart starts to create potential bullish hidden divergence. I say potential because the 4-hour chart still does not provide a bullish divergence as well. So one more push down, and then once the 4-hour chart provides some bullish divergence, we can switch and look for longs. So for those of you who are short with me, stay in, no need to change. Okay, as long as the 4-hour chart didn't create a bullish divergence for us. Same with the silver, as it completes the two waves down the first move. Okay, still early, but it will find a bottom somewhere next to here, and then we can switch for potential longs. But we need a daily combo with a 4-hour chart combo. We don't have it, so we don't rush it. Aussie Kiwi coming closer and closer to what we want. 106 zone, that 106 zone, that's our area. That's the trend line we have. We need to get closer. Ideally break below and retrace up, and then we are after longs. Now, take a look. We will get this. We need a false break. False break, switch above the trend line, pullbacks, and longs. Now, in terms of cycles, what do we have here? We have this and this. 61.8 also meets us slightly below the 106. Now, no, this drop down was approximately 45 candles. That means that this could be up to 80-90 candles. So it could play around the entire week. Okay, so no need to rush. But once we get there, look for these convergence breaks out and drops, and then rallies. 106 zone, slightly higher, like 106, 20, 30, down to 105, 50 even. This is the entire zone where we will want to be in action, and this is really good area to look to trade. One more thing I want to pay attention to, guys, which I normally don't cover, but this is dollar versus the ZAR. How good this pair is. Now take a look. We have a bearish hidden divergence here. Okay, bearish hidden divergence. Now, it's a bit tricky because we didn't have any, we don't have any real reasons for that yet, right? But that's a double move down, that's a double move up. The only problem, it's not mirrored. So what is doable is something like that, and then to drop lower. That's very, very, very doable as well. Now, here comes the thing here. This is a daily chart. We had one movement, okay, and if we measure this way, we are right next to 100. Now, if we raise it slightly higher, we are also around 100. Both measures are correct because that could be like a ranging wave with false breaks, or that could be double cycle up, correction, double cycle up. Both doable. To change the momentum, here is how I want to trade that. I want to go below this area. I want to see two waves up on lower time frames to find false break, retrace, and get it lower. How much lower? Back to 38 or 50, depends where we'll get a bullish divergence after that, of this cycle. So that could be really nice opportunity, paying very well. Dollars are knows to pay very well when it's to the downside, because we have great swap with us. So no harm by holding some of the cells, just getting extra paid, as long as you don't have Islamic account. Only if you have Islamic account, you don't get paid. Okay, so done with the forex pairs. That's my best opportunity we have so far. One more just to note, that's dollar versus the franc. Since it did break the range scenario we were looking for, it's moving further and it makes sense. But now we come closer to the 100. See, we're right next to it. So ideally we'll get one more push to the upside, false breaks, and then we can look for short on the short term. So for that we will want to switch to 1 hour chart. As I said, ideally one more move up, false breaks to the downside, trace, and we can get great risk reward there, aiming for 38.2 Fibonacci of this entire movement from the bottom to the top to be created. So we can aim to here. Could be really nice risk reward on the short term. Also watch for this opportunity. Could be really nice. Now that's always the forex. Go back to the indices and oil. Let's start with oil, as it changed the contract by Friday. That was the oil movement on Friday. We got these zigzags, but this zigzag could be, this is the new contract of July. These zigzags could be only one more stop before the final top above 50. It could be 50, 52 zone. That's where I believe the final top would be. There is a big chance we will get here some kind of triangle, as we did the false break to the upside, false break to the downside. Very doable to get something like that. And then one more final push to the upside, aiming the 50 up to 52. And then we are going to switch for short, which makes sense. Why? Because if the dollar Canadian, which correlates very well with the oil, is going to make the correction we've been talking about, back to 130, 129, there is a very big chance oil will make this push to the upside. And if it does, that is going to be an amazing sell opportunity. Why? Because this is going to cover for us the classical double move up scenario, which is right here. See that? And the triple scenario on the last leg. This one. 1, 2, 3. How good this combination could be. That's why I somehow hope it is going to be above 50, ideally closer to 52. Amazing zone to look for action. And that could be very great period also by summer. Could be great play with that by summer as well. So that's about the oil. Now indices, I don't yet change any of my mind. I remain bearish in my mind. The thing is here. Now take a look on the S&P. Yeah, S&P. That's the next days. Okay, we are by end of the month. Very big chance we create a bottom. You see, and we are next on these dates. So we might get the bottom already, or we might get one more push down before some kind of pullback. And on the 4-hour chart we can see we had, it's ugly, but well, it still is kind of, let me try to mark it. It's ugly. So don't try to how they say, don't try to do it at home. 1, 2, sorry, my bad. 1, 2, 3. As I said, very ugly, because the first does not anyhow equal to all the others, but still measurable. And there is another chance that this is going to be double, like this. Okay, so for me it's yet sell rallies. I don't see any reason to change any of the momentum, at least as long 1278 holds. For me it's yet bearish, and that's all. Only if the level I've mentioned here will be broken, I will back to neutral. But as for now, I remain bearish. Those of you who are with me, and we've been talking about during the week on the live trading room meetings, suggested to sell, suggested to cash out partial. Now you're risk free, no need to change nothing. And even if you didn't follow by the live trading room meetings and the updates during the day, fine, we still covered it on the last week. You are break even, no need to change, no way to lose this one, so no need to rush. Give it a chance to work. If it does, perfecto. If it doesn't, no worries, we will be after new opportunities. So I am bearish in my mind. I just don't have any new setup in case you missed it, and that means if you are not in, don't rush to be in, let it go. Okay, and that's all. So that will be all for this week, my friend, and I hope you enjoyed it. I enjoy, like always. I hope it is useful to you, and you benefit from it, and I hope you make some profits with it. I'll be happy as always for feedbacks, comments, questions, always welcome. Feel free to share with anyone who you believe can also have some benefit by watching that, or someone who wants to learn what we are doing and why we are doing and how we are doing that. And I'll see you around. So once again, thank you for your time. I wish you a wonderful week. Enjoy the rest of weekend, and I'll see you soon. Thank you for your time. Yours, Vladimir Ribakov.